Hi, hello, welcome to this new video. Today we're going to talk about how to play Islet. That's a new game from Two Tomatoes Games. It's a 1 to 4 player game. It's an abstract game, okay? Today we're not going to cover the solo mode. I'll just tell you how to play the regular multiplayer game. And I also wanted to mention that Islet is the second game, in the line that we started with Coral, that some of you might know. So what's Islet about? In Islet, players embody tropical birds that they are seeking, these tropical birds that you can see here, they are seeking to nest in a small islet, as you can see here, in the middle of the ocean. During the game, you will collectively explore this islet and also collect materials. Those materials you will use to make your nest so that you can lay your eggs, okay? Basically during the game, that's what you're going to do. You're going to collectively create and explore that island and also move in the island to seek the perfect spots to create your nests so that you can lay your eggs and thus ensure the survival of your species. The game ends as soon as a player lays their last egg. So it's a bit of a race, okay? So with this introduction done, let me tell you how to do the game setup. So with the introduction done, I will proceed to explain how to set up the game. But first, let me tell you a couple of things that I think they're cool. First one is the game comes with a very nice insert so that you can keep all your pieces very much in order, okay? So that's a nice feature of this game, I think. And the second thing that I wanted to talk about before explaining how to set up the game is some important concepts of the game. The common components are mainly the cards and the tiles, and you can see that there's a lot more tiles here. These have two dimensions or two characteristics that are very important to note. Okay, so here I've put up the initial islet made up of 6 different tiles taken at random from the box. Okay, but please note that on each tile, as I said, has 2 characteristics. One is its color. As you can see, we have this like dark orange, dark blue, and like pale pink. This tells us the type of terrain of that tile. So orange is for clay, blue is for fresh water, and this pale pink is for sand. But also note that there are some icons on each tile. Those icons tell you the type of nest that we can prepare on that tile. So this one, well, these 3 in fact, they are branches. So here in any of those we could do a nest with branches. These 2, the white one is the flowers, so nest of flowers, and this one that you can also see here and here are the leaves. Okay, so those are the materials required to make a nest on that particular tile. But they are also corresponding to the 6 types of cards that we have here. Ignore this one. I will explain a little bit later. So here we have 6 piles of cards, and they are mainly divided in 2 groups. Let me put them a bit like this so you can see more difference. These cards are related to the type of terrain. So these are the freshwater cards, these are the clay cards, and these are the sand cards. These ones are related to the nests, okay, as we can see in the middle. So these are the leaf cards, these are the branch cards, and those are the flower cards. Okay, so with that done with, let me explain. I've prepared here a game for 2 players, okay, but I've included all the components in the game. So I've included those cards. Those cards are the day and night cards. They are only used on the solo mode, so we're not going to use them for this video. And here we have two more birds with their eggs. Okay, but these guys are not going to play in this game. So how do we prepare how do we do the game setup? Well, first of all, we separate the 6 decks per type. Okay, then we place the 90 tiles here in this bag. Then we take 6 tiles at random that I've already prepared here to prepare the initial islet. Okay, we have it here. Then each player takes 4 random tiles from the bag. Note that those tiles, they are kept secret. Like, you can keep them in your hand or you can keep them face down. Okay, but the other players, they will always know the type of terrain of a particular tile that you have, but they won't know the type of nest. Okay, this is important. I've left them here face up just to that you see different types of tiles. Okay, and then according to the number of players, the players each take one of the birds. Okay, and according to the number of players, they will take more or less eggs. If they are playing with 2 players, as we're playing here, they will take 10 eggs each. If you're playing with 3 players, you will take 8 eggs each, and you will play with the red one. And if you're playing with 4 players, you will also play with the blue one, and everybody will take 6 eggs. Okay, matching their color. And the last thing that you need to do is to put your birds, your bird pounds, on the sea. Okay, in the sea. Sorry. The sea. What is the sea? It's very easy. It's the table around the islet. Okay, your birds, as we can see here in the illustration, they are flying to get to the islet. So that's the setup done. As you can see, it's quite easy. And now I'm going to tell you how to play the game. So, with the game setup out of the way, I will proceed to go explain how to play. Whoever has touched an egg most recently starts the game. Starting with that player, take turns clockwise. On your turn, you must take either an explore or a move action, and then you pass the turn to the next player. Here I've prepared a setup of a midway, a game that is midway, okay, halfway through, with 2 players, as we were saying, and we can see that each player has their resources, has laid an egg already, okay, and the islet has already grown a little bit. So I'm going to explain both actions as I play. So I think it's the best way for you guys to correctly understand how to play. So I'm going to start taking the turn with the white player, and they are going to do an explore action. With this action, well, you can see here that those represent the hands of tiles of each player. With the explore action, you can lay 1 to 4 tiles on the islet, and you will receive the corresponding resources. And you have to follow 3 steps. First, you lay tiles from your hand, then you receive the resources, and finally you replenish your hand by receiving more tiles from the bag. Okay? So what I'm going to do is, okay, I've already prepared the action. Okay, this will be my hand, and I have already placed them here in the order that I want to play them. Okay, so the first tile, you must lay it in the sea, adjacent to the islet. So I've decided that from among these 4, I'm going to play this one first. So I decided to place it like this. Okay. Then the next one, the other, as I said, I can play up to 4 tiles. You always have to place them. So when you place the other tiles, you have to make sure that you fulfill these 3 conditions. They have to be placed on top of a tile adjacent to the previous tile you have laid in this action. That tile that you place on top has to be empty, so no birds or eggs, and it has to always to be ascending. Okay. So in here, I could only adjacent, we only have this tile here. So I have to place it on top of this one. So I'm going to place it here on top. Okay, I place it like this. Now I could place it here or here because those two are adjacent, and the tile would be on top of the previously laid tile. And note that here there's a height difference between those two, but we don't care. As long as it's on top of the previously one, it's good. So in this case, I'm going to place it here. Place it like this. And in this case, obviously, I cannot place it here. I cannot place it here because one, it's lower, and two, has an egg. So I'm going to place it here. And like this, you see that I've been able to play my whole hand, okay? Remember, you're only required to play at least one tile. But, hint, hint, it's good to play more than one tile. Then I'm going to advance on the second point of this explore action, which is to receive the resources. The resources you receive go to your reserve, okay? I've already got one guaranteed resource here that I will explain a bit later, okay? And you have the resources that you will receive are in relation to the type of terrain of the tiles that you laid, okay? In this case, this, and this. And if those tiles have a tile underneath, that terrain of that tile will also be relevant. So, for the I will do them in order, okay? First I place this one. It has no tile underneath, so I just take a terrain card matching the terrain type of that tile. In this case, I take one clay. For this one, the sand tile, we see that underneath there is a freshwater tile. So what I'm going to do is, I have fresh water and I have sand, so I come here to the nest cards and I see freshwater sand, so I'm going to take a branch nest. For this one, the clay one, underneath we have sand, so I'm going to take a nest card, and in this case it's going to be sand plus clay. I'm going to take a flower tree, so I'm going to leave here. And for this one, the fresh water, I see that underneath there's fresh water too. In this case, since the terrains are matching, I'm just going to take the terrain card, okay? So I'm going to take a freshwater card. Now, I only need to do the last part of this action, which is to receive the tiles. Since I don't have any tiles at the moment in my reserve, I would just go to the back and randomly draw 4 tiles, okay, without looking. Remember that you can always look at the type of nest of the tiles that you have in your hand, okay? But the other players will always know the type of terrain of those tiles, okay? So once this is done, I'm going, the last thing that we need to verify is count the number of resources that we have in our reserve. We can have a maximum of 8 non-guaranteed resources. As I said, I will explain the guaranteed resources a bit later. In this case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 non-guaranteed resources, so I don't have to discard any because my limit is 8. If I had more than 8, then I would need to discard them always to the corresponding pile here, okay? Okay, so now I'm going to proceed to explain the move action, and I'm going to take that action with the yellow player, okay? I have everything set up here in order to do so that you can see. When you take a move action, you can advance your pawn and spawn as many times as you want and in any order and combination, as long as you can pay the required resource cost, okay? So here we can see that the yellow player has already quite a lot of resources, okay? And very, very important, you cannot end this action with your pawn on a tile that has another bird pawn. So yellow player cannot end the action here, okay? So as I said, during this move action, you can advance and spawn. I'm going to explain advance first, and then we'll see if we can spawn an egg in this turn, okay? So to advance, you need to follow these steps. First, you choose a destination tile that is adjacent to your pawn's tile, okay? Or if your pawn is in the sea, pues any of the outer rim of the islet, okay? Any tile that would be adjacent to the sea. In this case, my pawn is in the freshwater tile, so I could choose to go to the clay tile or this other freshwater tile. When you advance, you ignore other birds, eggs, and height differences between tiles. You see that here there's quite a bit of a difference between those two, okay? But I don't care, okay? And then because you do not take into account the difference in height for tiles, okay? And also you can never go back to the sea once you've left it, okay? Then you need to pay the cost. If the chosen tile, which I'm going to choose this one in this case, if the chosen tile is of the same type of terrain of the tile where I'm in, I do not need to pay anything. Otherwise, I need to pay one terrain card matching the destination tile. In this case, since I'm in a freshwater tile and I'm moving to a freshwater tile, I do not need to pay anything. I'm going to continue advancing, and I would like to go to this tile here. It's a sand tile. So it's adjacent, it's empty, that's no problem, I can go there. I could also go here to this clay tile, but I do not want to do that. However, to enter the sand tile, since I'm on a freshwater tile, which is different, I need to pay a sand resource. So I'm going to pay a sand resource from my reserve, I give it back, and I put my pawn in that tile, okay? We can see the little bird hanging out here. Then I'm going to continue advancing, and I want to, here, I could go back to the tile where I was, which is not interesting, or I could go to this other sand tile. As we know, since it's the same type of terrain, I'm going to advance and I don't need to pay anything. And finally, I want to advance to this clay tile. This is going to cost me one resource of clay. And luckily I have a guaranteed clay resource. Why is it guaranteed? Because it has one of my eggs on top of it. I'm going to pay with this card, and I don't need to discard it since it's guaranteed. The only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down, okay? And this counts as me having discarded the card, so I can advance to this clay tile. Now that I'm in this clay tile, I'm going to spawn an egg. When you want to spawn an egg, you can only spawn it in the tile where your pawn is, where your bird pawn is, and you need to spend 3 cards or exhaust, matching the type of nest depicted in that tile. So in this case, I'm in a flower nest tile, so I need to use 3 flower resources. Well, I have one here, I have another one here, but I'm lacking a third one. Luckily, whenever you need to pay costs, you can discard back to the matching deck a resource of your reserve. You can exhaust one of your guaranteed resources, or you can also transform terrain cards. Terrain, remember, are those 3: the sand, fresh water, and clay. If I deplete or return to the deck 2 matching, 2 identical terrain cards, I can get in exchange any other terrain. For example, let's say I spend 2 clay, I could get fresh water or sand. If I deplete or return 2 different terrain cards, I can obtain the nest card corresponding to that combination of cards. And luckily for me, I have 1 sand card and I have a clay card. And we can see that the flower nest card needs 1 sand and 1 clay. So I spend these 2 resources and I get this one. So with 1, 2, 3 flower cards, I can now spawn an egg from my reserve into the tile where my pawn is. How am I going to do that? It depends on the available number of eggs that I have in my reserve. The eggs that are on guaranteed resources, doesn't matter if they're standing or they're face down, they do not count as free eggs. Okay. If I have 2 or more free eggs, then I take one of them and I place it in the tile. What is my bird? Remember that you cannot spawn an egg if the tile you're in already contains an egg or another bird. Very important. Then, on top of spawning that egg, I can choose any resource, any resource, any of those that I'm going to choose the leaf, for example. And then I take another free egg from my reserve and I put it on top of that card. This, well, let's see. I'm going to take a sand card. And now this becomes a guaranteed resource, okay? And I could use it. I could use it this turn, for example, if I wanted to advance my pawn from here to here, I could use it. However, you cannot have more than 2 identical guaranteed resources, okay? And as I said, this egg is no longer free. However, when you spawn, if you do not have any eggs, free eggs remaining, you have to take 1 egg from one of your guaranteed resources and place it. And thus you automatically lose that guaranteed resource. Well, so that's it. That's how you do the actions in Islet. So now that we've seen how to play the different actions, we'll go to explain the end game. The end of the game can be triggered in 2 different ways. First one is when a player spawns their last egg. In that case, they finish their turn normally and we finish the round as usual, okay? And then the game ends. Make sure that, obviously, all players will have played the same number of turns. The other event that can trigger the game end is when a player takes the last Islet tile from the back. In that case, we end the current round and we play as last round, so another round, okay? Same as before, everyone will play the same number of turns. Once the game has ended, and it doesn't matter how it ended, the player who spawned the most eggs wins the game. If there's a tie, like in this case, it's a 2-player game where both players have spawned their 10 eggs, the tied player who spawned on the highest Islet tile wins. In this case, it would be the yellow player, since they spawn the highest egg, basically. However, if there's still a tie, continue comparing the height of their next highest spawned egg until a winner is determined. And if you can't determine a victory like this, the tied players share the victory. So that's the end of the how to play Islet video. I hope you've liked it. I hope that I was clear enough. If you have any questions, any doubts, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments of this video and to ask us. You can ask us also on social media. Definitely, I would like to recommend this game. If you already know Coral, you will love it. Okay, it has some points in common, for example, the magnificent artwork and the construction mechanics. And if you don't know Coral, maybe it's time to get to know both games. And just to finish, I would like to entice you to join our newsletter, our social networks, so that you can stay up to date with all our news and our new releases and so on. So, just to finish, many thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!